Hello everyone, welcome to the Civilization VII updates. We have our first patch as of March 4th. I have a doggy that's attacking me right now. Oh, two doggies! There's a little one right here. Alright, cool. That aside, welcome to our first ever patch notes. So very excited for this update. Well, not first patch, but it's the first major update, and it's also one that's going to feature a growling doggy. But no, really. So I'm really excited, so we'll get to the patch notes. Update 1.10 is here, our first major update. So they're going to be doing a feature spotlight. Update notes will cover all the addressed issues, yada yada yada. Let's get into our feature spotlight. So we have the new modern cultural legacy path, Geographic Society. If you've been chasing Geographic Society victory, you may have noticed some balancing quirks. And this is something I have noticed. One of the things that really defined the modern age for any civilization, no matter what, was you had a set culture path that you wanted to go, which was to get the first civic natural history. That you always got that first and foremost because that got you your explorers, and even if you weren't aiming for a culture victory, you still wanted to rush those explorers because you wanted to deny the AI or other players of those artifacts, so you wanted to get those out as fast as possible. That made modern age feel like very static every time you played it. So you're always going for the culture, and then you're gunning for your factories early on in your tech tree, in case for an economic victory, military victory. You know, you're still going to want to go for those techs that are going to increase your military capacity, and also the culture victory, the tech victory, you're going to get those techs anyway. So it made the modern age feel kind of the same every time you played it, even if you were playing a different civilization, even if you're going for a different victory condition. So hopefully this change will make modern age feel a little bit different, and making it, as they say, harder for players to breeze through this path. So explorer units kind of cost more, slow down those early rushes. Oftentimes I was just straight up buying them. Fewer exploration artifacts spawn per continent, making competition for discoveries more strategic. I don't know if this is going to improve things, but it might make it more competitive. Natural wonders can now be studied for artifacts, so this is excellent. Again, one of the things you do in the exploration age is use your missionaries as scouts, so you can scout everywhere. And since scouts don't count, or since missionaries don't count as military units, you could take them anywhere. Additional artifacts can be earned by completing the future civic. This is key. One of the things that you did to lock out the computer was if you denied them the artifacts, then there's no way for them to win. This means that those deity civs that are really heavily culture focused, they're getting ridiculous amounts of culture, they still have a chance of beating you. I don't know how this is going to play in the end of things, but this is very important. So let's see how this works. I don't know how it's going to look. We still have to see how it plays, but this is it. So far, it's an improvement. I still like the modern age. I still like this game. I still love playing it, but modern age felt the weakest in terms of all the ages. Additional AI quality of life improvements. Additional artifacts can be earned. Yep, we already covered that. So let's go through the PC update notes. I mostly play on PC. No shade to anyone who plays on console. I also play on my Steam Deck, which is console adjacent, and that is also still fun. So Geographical Society updates. Natural History Mastery now grants explorers +1 sight and the ability to gain artifacts from natural wonders. That's very excellent. So now you have a reason to go into the Civic Mastery for natural history. Future Civics +1 artifact. Completing Hegemony grants +1 artifact when an explorer researches artifacts. So that's another reason to gun for as much culture as possible to get Hegemony as fast as possible. And it means, even though you're really trying to get those artifacts, delaying for artifacts. So that's why exploration age artifacts, which came from the hegemony civic to begin with, will be +1 artifacts. So you get more from those civics. Explorers can no longer create a new dig site on top of an existing dig site. So people are reporting that you were able to get artifacts from doing this. I've tried this and never been able to get it to work. I thought it was like a little cheeky strategy. Apparently it has been working on for some players. Continent Lens has been updated to show natural wonders that can provide artifacts. Hegemony has switched places. Oh, with militarism, it now requires nationalism and globalism. Okay, so this is a very interesting change. Okay, oh, very interesting. So that changes mostly for your culture focus. What culture trees? So maybe you might change it up if you're going for a different victory condition. Increase the number of artifacts that are spawned on tiny maps. Yes, 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 yes. That is also huge, because if you had a smaller map, that determined the number of artifacts that would spawn. Now it seems they're being more cognizant of players that like to play on tinier maps. I still like to play on the larger maps, so rushing for those culture artifacts was a viable strategy. That usually was, if I wanted to end game quickly, I would just go for the culture victory. Big one, holy cities can now be converted. And when you've always been able to create your own missionary units that are following your religion. It's never been the case that if you got one of your settlements converted, you were able to make the missionary. It was still always going to be your religion. So that's a viable change. This different from Civ 6, where that was the case, where if you had a settlement following a different religion and you made a missionary, it would be of that religion. Napoleon Empire can no longer reject sanctions for free. So this is a change for Napoleon. I haven't played him too much, so I can't really comment on how good this is. But the AI is very aggressive, so I can see that this would have been very, very useful. Hopefully it's just discounted. I don't know what the difference is going to be now. For civilizations, America now receives +2 resource slots upon constructing their unique quarter. Very huge. America was one of the economic age victory condition civs, but that was always a limiting factor, was the resource slots with factories. So getting that economic victory condition online faster is going to just feel better for those American players. Buganda adjusted their civic effect for modern Buganda to award +1 happiness and +1 quarters adjacent to rivers or lakes. Again, I'm not familiar with the exact mechanic that they were using before, but this seems like a positive change. Same thing with Meiji Japan, for just like America, added +1 resource slots to the Zaibatsu unique quarter. Siam increased the cost of Siam's Itsarapab action to be 50% more than the standard befriend independent action. So they were pretty broken earlier, so this is going to be a little bit more costly, but not that much more costly for the instant befriend of a city-state. And reported issue where Siam was sometimes not properly unlocked after unlocking them in Explorer Age. That's good, so no more bugs. Specific gameplay, AI will now perform better at completing the modern cultural legacy path by gaining artifacts from natural wonders, researching at museums, universities, completing civics, etc. No more stacks of doom. Yeah, this was just, the AI was so inconsistent with the culture legacy path, so every time I did it, even if I wasn't going for culture legacy path, that sometimes was just the fastest way of beating the game. So hopefully this just kind of extends modern age and its playability a little bit. And I think if I'm going to do a little bit of an analysis of this, this is an improvement, because one of the modern traits is forcing you into conflicts with the other AI. I don't like going into wars in my Civ games, but I can understand their intentions of having modern age be like that kind of feel where the world is starting to go towards a more aggressive stance towards each other. These states are forming and they're going more aggressive. So World War II being almost like an inevitability once you have these competing ideologies, communism, fascism, and democracy, to name the majority in the modern age, the majority ideologies. So I think what this does is it just extends the modern age enough to get that going. You still can probably defend yourself well enough to just kind of engage in like your space race or your economic victory, but I think military is a necessary component of the modern age. I don't know if I still like it. I'm excited to see how this plays out when we get into longer modern age playtimes. So for the economy, oil rigs now benefit from warehouse bonuses granted by the ironwork and combustion tech masteries. Excellent. I didn't notice this so much, but if it wasn't being applied, this is huge because that extra production generally comes into play, and oil is kind of found everywhere once you get into the modern age. City patron pantheon effects decreased from 3 to 2 influence on altars. Oh, okay. Okay, very interesting. That was a bit broken, yeah. So it was always the first thing that was taken, so I never, in deity, I would never get that pantheon anyways. In progress buildings that are instantly granted to the player will now auto-complete. Interesting, I need to think about how that's written a little bit. In progress buildings that are instantly granted to the player will now auto-complete. I wonder what use cases there were where buildings were being instantly granted to the player. I think I've seen it where buildings were at 0 production. All right, now we can look at diplomacy. Sanctions can now be used at neutral relationship, and their cost will decrease as the relationship gets more hostile. This is excellent. Sometimes you want to kind of neuter one of the AIs that are kind of running away with the game. So this will allow you to do so, especially if you have that extra influence, especially for like those Machiavelli and Isabella and other influence-heavy leaders and civilizations. Address the reported issue. This is crises with revolution crises applying more unhappiness in settlements than stated. I have noticed this was a thing. Sometimes the happiness seemed to just kind of run away from me. So I'm really happy to see this. I'm really glad to see the happiness be more consistent. Military. Naval units can now disperse independent powers. Excellent, excellent, excellent. This might mean the AI is more aggressive, killing those independent powers. We'll see how that works. Refinements made to army unpacking action. One of the things I noticed is you were never able to unpack a unit right on the commander unit's hex. So this is a huge change because that usually would come in clutch. So you want to defend your commander. So if you do the whole unpack action, the strongest unit will go in the direction that you determine, and that can include the commander unit's hex. And the next strongest would be always in the commander's hex if it was outside of the commander's hex. Address the reported issue with harassment promotion, unintentionally stacking too high. Haha, that's funny. Address the reported issue with incorrect bombard strength being used for Garde Impériale and Sepoy unique infantry units. Duplicate aerodrome commanders should no longer appear when conquering a settlement in the modern age. This annoyed the heck out of me because it really felt weird, like constantly having to micro through those commanders. So this is nice. This is a nice little change. Always having like double aerodrome commanders really felt weird. A ghost unit or multiple units of any class can no longer be created when units are deployed by an AI commander unit during normal gameplay. Oh, okay. Interesting. Bermuda Triangle has been added for all players. Memento balance have taken place. We've made many changes to mementos. Let's see how that goes. All to Kapu Tunic now grants +1 scouts, or +1 sight for scouts adjacent to mountains, was +3. Oh wow, that's a big nerf. that feels like it's gone from completely broken to kind of not great. So that just basically allows you to get around the fact that mountains really restricted your view. Altar set now grants +1 culture from specialists. Was +1 culture and gold from specialists. Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one who noticed this. This was really, really good. Especially if you're going for your exploration science victory or science legacy points. So now it's just the culture that's getting added to the specialist. So one or the other would be really interesting to have on a memento. Chalcedony Seal now grants +1 culture and gold for unique buildings and improvements. The old effect was +3 culture and gold for unique buildings and improvements if you have 3 or more unique buildings and improvements. Okay, that was really big, right? That's a welcome nerf. Crown of Napoleon now grants 200 gold per age when a former war is declared against you. Was 100 per gold. I don't know how useful that's going to be regardless, but it is a memento of all time. Okay. Dong Song Drum. Dong Song. Declaring a formal war against another civilization grants a tech boost. Very interesting. That is very interesting. That's gonna mesh very well with Ashoka the Conqueror. Okay, wow, very cool. Eagle Banner cities now gain 2% science per great work on display, at max at 20%. Old effect was 5% science efficiency per great work they contain, max 25%. I wonder how that's going to change the science. It's still really good. I think it's still worth taking as Catherine the Great, but we'll see. It's probably a welcome nerf because it was really, really good. Great Imperial Crown now grants +2 science per age on towns in Tundra, and the old one was 5% science per great work on display, set to up to 25% max. This was interesting. Those have been that combo's been nerfed quite a bit. So it kind of pushes you to put towns in Tundra as Catherine, but really one of the things I noticed, this has kind of been made mostly useless, because usually as Catherine, you wanted your cities to be on Tundra. Your towns were what you would send to other places, because there's a nice synergy for her having cities on Tundra, developing that 25% science from your culture. So, not great for Catherine. This might be good. I don't really see anyone else that would be good on. This memento's been nerfed into the ground. That's unfortunate, but it's okay. I can see how it was just completely overbroken. So there's plenty of other Catherine. There's plenty of great mementos you can use with Catherine. Imango Mundi now grants +2 sight instead of +1 for Scout search and lookout ability. Was +3. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Was really good. So, no more Imago Mundi cheese. He's still broken. He's still really good if you use the right memento combo. Joyous Say now grants +2 happiness for every cavalry unit instead of +2 per age. Yep. He would run away with happiness and to just get his government online. Especially if you had like some really good combat traditions. Yeah, I can see how that's a welcome change. Merchant Saddle now grants +1 movement for scouts, merchant settlers, and explorers. Old effect was just +1 movement and sight for scouts, merchants, and settlers. That makes it a lot more viable. +1 movement for all of those is really good. I wonder if that still works for colonists in Carthage. Probably, I would imagine, because they're still kind of like a modified settler, but we'll see. And there's unique merchants, so it probably does. Pedron Real now grants 2 happiness per age on natural wonders. Took away the whole 100% yields. I barely got to play with it. I love I love Isabella. So this is fine. I think +2 happiness is a good yield. It's still really good with Queen's Jewelry, which is next. That has been buffed. Now grants +2 gold per age on natural wonders over the +2 gold. And remember, if you're playing as Isabella, this is doubled. So it's +2, which turns into +4, which turns into +8 in exploration, which turns into +12 in modern per tile. So you're still going to want to rush those natural wonders as Isabella. She's still going to want to find them. This is a welcome change. They're still going to work really, really well together. That's still a great combo. It's not, the Catherine the Great combo was taken out, unfortunately, but here we are. At least we still have that. Ureus now grants +10 culture in cities with at least one wonder. Old effect was if you have the most wonders, you get +10 production towards constructing wonders. If you do not. Okay, so +10 culture if you have the most, +10 production towards constructing if you do not. Yeah, that's welcome. I think it just encourages you to have a diverse amount of cities with wonders. And I feel like this is the replacement for Catherine the Great's Memento. You can take this instead of the other one, and that will have really good synergy with Catherine the Great's ability of granting +25% science per culture on cities. So this will just boost that culture a little bit more. So if you're making 10 culture, you get one more culture, which would be 0.25 science. So if you're making 400 culture, that grants you 40 culture, that grants you, 10 science. It's really good. It's a really good change. Some of the text updates. Diamond Throne, +1 happiness per age on quarters during a celebration. Previously read during a celebration. Okay, it's just getting rid of the comma and switching it to a more active voice. Lotus Blossom. Gain science and culture per turn equal to 4% of your gold income. Cool. Previously read +4% of your gold income as additional science and culture. Yata no Kagami. Bah, I can't speak. Kagami. Yata no Kagami. Gain 20 culture per age at the start of every celebration. Okay. That one's still pretty useless. It's just a text update. Some of the UI changes. Maya's Kauna unique building text estate +3 science and +4 science. Updated text for the following direct changes received in previous patch. Mudge up a heat. The Santra Civic Exploration Age culture buildings receive +1 culture agency for coast. I'm not too interested in the text changes. This is just some more UI improvements. You can read them on my screen here. You can certainly read them on your own. See anything else interesting for the notifications, alignments, and spacing? That is an improvement. You can go into the game and notice that the alignment is a little bit better. Unit action tooltips now stay within screen boundaries. Yeah, this was big because especially on Steam Deck they would go off screen, and then you couldn't even see what you were trying to access. Less an issue on PC, but again, if you're playing console and you have a tinier resolution, this was a big deal. So I'm really glad to see that. Some general stuff. Victory achieved pop-up now takes you to the correct Civ page. Social policies and crises policies can now be selected separately when you unlock both at the same turn. It made the screen appear stuck. I had not encountered this issue, but I'm glad it's a welcome change. Let's just see if there's anything else interesting. Factory resources no longer highlights invalid slots. That's very good. A new icon for natural wonders in the continents has been added, so it's easier to see where to dig modern age artifacts. Very nice, very nice. This was a big issue again with culture. Culture was all over the place. I like the general direction where they're going with culture. I want to see if the game feel is still improved this way, because culture rushing was just kind of silly. Because you get the one natural history and then that's it. You're just balancing units. and managing units, which kind of is how culture is in exploration. So, yeah, culture is one of those weird victory conditions in Civ 7, so I'm glad to see they're kind of playing with it. Resources were unable to be assigned to their origin city after being unassigned. Okay, so it's just some general bug issues. Various narrative events have been fixed. Various quests have been fixed or have had incorrect text being displayed. They corrected some typos on loading screens and some platform stuff. Okay, let's get to the content. I don't want to make this video too long, so let's look at it. Okay. So we're going to get some new leaders. We're going to get Ada Lovelace. She's going to be fun. Scientific, cultural, so she focuses on both, just kind of like Catherine the Great. I'm curious to see when they finally nerf Maya, if she's still going to work really well with Maya. But for now, right, she's like just, you want Maya with this leader. Cities receive science per age when you complete a civic mastery. This resets at the start of each age. Yep, that's fair. Creating culture equal to a percentage of your total science per turn when you complete a technology mastery. If you think about the Maya cultural, the last in the tree, I forget the name, where you get 10% science when you research civic, and 10% culture when you research a science tree. So you get 10% of that cost whenever you finish a research or a civic. This is just going to boost that even more. So you're gonna boost your culture by improving your science. It's almost like the reverse of Catherine, where you improve your science by boosting your culture. So I really like the feel of this. I really think this is going to be interesting. I really think she's an excellent foil to Catherine the Great, and I'm really excited to see what kind of memento she gets. And you increase relationship by a small amount for having the most masteries. That's her agenda. Okay. Small amount for leader with the least masteries. So if you're not focusing on tech masteries right away, which is a play strategy I did many times, she's not going to like you. All right. Great Britain. The sun never sets on the Great Britain's vast empire. Its territory spread across all continents, funneling raw materials from colonial holdings to the factories of the metropole. Foreign policy was conducted through economic strategy, extensive diplomacy, and the threat of war. If you were to ask me what the civilization with the most population or the most reach, universal health care, best social mobility, it was in the 1900s, it was Great Britain. There's a whole lot of reasons why that was. There's a whole lot of reasons why that was probably not a good thing. But, Great Britain was the... there's one professor who said there's nothing great about Britain. But, this was just one of those famous naval-dominated empires. And then formed under political explosion of industry, under Pax Britannica, the world followed Britain's lead. Economic expansionist. Yep. This all makes sense. Unique ability, workshop the world, buildings are set it's percentage cheaper to produce or purchase, converting towns into cities costs a set percentage more. I like that. Heavy town strategy. I feel like Carthage would go well into this. We'll see what Carthage works going to exploration. I'm curious to see how that works. So unique explorer unit, the antiquarian, unique military unit, the Revenge, which is a naval unit, and the associated wonder is the Battersea Power Station. We also get Carthage, from humble economy to great hegemony. Carthage rose from the shores of North Africa to dominate the Mediterranean Sea. Its sleek ships ferried goods and riches all over the known world, while at home, the city of Carthage was famed for its master craftsmen and deep agricultural knowledge. Competition first with Greece, then Rome, honed renowned generals and a powerful navy. But war was Carthage's undoing, and the city was destroyed in 146 BCE. Yeah, the Carthaginian Wars. Militaristic economic. Ooh, I'm not feeling the militaristic. I've been playing it myself, but I can see it. I can see where they get the boost to their cavalry, and cavalry is the best combat unit right now. It is far and away really, really, really good combat units. Phoenician heritage can only have one city. Towns cannot convert to city. When you create a merchant or colonist unit, gain a copy of that unit. I've been playing this in practice. It's a lot of fun. It's not as good as you would want it to be, but I am enjoying the one city playstyle of this. But the merchant is really good, like having multiple merchants. I don't like to produce a lot of merchants. This will just help me just make those merchants faster. 4 new natural wonders: the Macha Puchare, a tropical wonder, Mount Fuji, Fujisan on grassland, I'm not sure exactly if that's a hard sea or soft sea, but it's on the desert, and the VII. Yeah, you can stay up late. So those are very cool. A lot of cool patch notes. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. I'm new to content production, so if you have any good suggestions for me, I'd really appreciate it, and I hope you have a great day. Goodbye, everyone.